coral reefs. Climate change and its impact on coral reefs. With rising global temperatures, mass coral bleaching events and infectious disease outbreaks have become more frequent. Bleaching is when corals lose the highly pigmented zooxanthellae from their tissues due to stress from high sea temperatures and solar irradiation, exposing the white calcium carbonate skeletons of the coral colony. Ocean acidification. Carbon dioxide absorbed into the ocean from the atmosphere has been reducing calcification rates in reef building and reef-associated organisms by changing chemical properties of seawater through a decrease in pH. This can ultimately lead to dissolving coral reefs. Increased frequency and intensity of tropical storms. Violent storms will lead to coral breakage, dislocation and degradation from wind and wave changes in precipitation. Increased precipitation will lead to more freshwater runoff. Freshwater runoff reduces salinity levels, may cause bleaching, and brings increased nutrients and sediments, which can lead to disease outbreak. Altered ocean circulation patterns may lead to lack of food due to dispersal of larvae and SO. Sudden exposure of reef flat corals to the atmosphere during events such as extreme low tides, and SO-related sea level drops or tectonic uplift can potentially induce bleaching. The consequent exposure to high or low temperatures, increased solar radiation and seawater dilution by heavy rains could lead to zooxanthellae loss and also cause coral death. Marine pollution. Zooxanthellae loss occurs during exposure of coral to increased concentrations of various chemical contaminants and oil. Plastic and garbage that the seaside often ends up in the sea and disrupts the coral reef's delicate environment. 4. Overfishing and destructive fishing practices, such as purse seining, fine mesh fishing, moxy nets, cyanide fishing and blast fishing result in unsustainable damage to coral reefs. 5. Coral mining, for example in South and Southeast Asia, which involves blasting of reefs and coral being removed, cause immediate destruction but also result in indirect detrimental effects such as sand erosion and sedimentation. 6. Sedimentation, erosion caused by construction, mining, logging, and farming has led to increased sediment in rivers. The sediment drastically reduces the amount of light reaching coral reefs and destroys them. Further, destruction of mangroves, which check sediments, have aggravated the problem. 7. Poorly managed tourism has both direct and indirect negative effects on coral reefs. Snorkeling, diving, and boating can cause direct physical damage to reefs. Overexploitation of reef species as food for aquaria and as curios for tourist markets can threaten the survival of species. 8. Indiscriminate exploitation of coral reefs for wildlife trade has also emerged as a major threat to coral ecosystems. 9. Massive outbreaks of predatory starfish. Invasive species also pose threat to survival of corals. Extent of coral bleaching. According to a study published in the journal Science, the global proportion of coral being hit by bleaching per year has increased from 8% in the 1980s to 31% in 2016. From 1980 to 2016, the number of bleaching events was highest in the Western Atlantic, including Central America and the Caribbean, which experienced 3 times more events than other regions such as Australasia, the Indian Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean. Since 1980, 58% of severe bleaching events have been recorded during strong periods of El Niño. The last coral bleaching event took place from 2014 to 2017. It had destroyed nearly 12,000 kilometers of reefs. Global coral bleaching was also recorded in 1998 and 2010. In 2016 to 17, the Great Barrier Reef of Australia suffered extreme coral bleaching which killed around 50% of its corals. Extent and cause of coral bleaching in India. The